So I think he will, among others, we will invite him to come and speak on our behalf. But I thought it's important that I recognize one person that I know in the community. I was part of this community for a long period of time. So Joy Guru, everybody. Joy Guru, our neighbors and our
Joy Guru. So now, Manas Bhai will talk about the objectives of the Sadharana Sabha. Manas Bhai.
My beloved Sri Thakur Maharaj, Honorable Puja Parchalaka, Honorable President Krishna Das Bhai, and also Guru Dharma, President America Saraswata Sangha, and all Bhais, Ma's and guests. So today we are in this Sammilani. We have lots of sessions, and this is a very special session where the session not included in these four walls. The session goes beyond that. From the last 2 days, whatever like the sessions we have concluded, and there are some sessions also need to be done. We discuss lots of things and the practices. But if you think about all the things that we are doing for general, it's for outside. How it is? So we pray our Thakur Maharaj at home and the Sangha, also Sammilani. In home, we call it as asana, called Chief Asana. Means it's already there, it's now it's there, in the future it will be there. So, and in a Sangha, it's the knowledge. We discuss culture, knowledge is here. Whatever Thakur said, we try to understand. And in a Sammilani, it's a Ananda. So I will go a little bit steps, what we do at home, what we do at the Sangha, and why do at the Sammilani. So Sangha, at home, so we do practices every day, certain rules we follow day to day our life. So what is the reason? How we connected to public? What is the benefit? Thakur is Sarvabhauma Guru, means he does not have a limitation of his disciples. So it's not like any particular religion, caste, or any group or anything. So at home, we practice day to day, and we culture ourselves in such a way that people around us will follow us. And why they will follow? Because we are practicing Thakur's advices, and that advices always, the principles of Thakur always gives us like to gradually go out from this Maya Sansara and closer to Thakur's world. So with that, we always realize that by doing, first of all, we need to do ourselves, and that will give a kind of hints to the others to follow. In Sangha, we come here, we practice whatever the books and the materials that Thakurji provided us, that we did it and try to understand, to improvise our knowledge. And this Sammilani is special where it's Ananda. It's like nothing but in all, everybody knows about Rasa Leela, where Krishna ji, put his float on, and all these Radhas came and joined. And this Sammilani It's not arranged by any Bhai Ramal, this Sammilani called by Sri Thakur Maharaj, and for that reason several bhaktas are coming to several parts of this America, coming to here, and also the guests. So Thakurji has three the main important points. He said that Sanatana Dharma disturb. So to re-establish Sanatana Dharma is already there. Over the time, people forgot that the practices gone away, and now to re-establish Sanatana Dharma. Then Sat Siksha disturbed. The way we are taking the outside knowledge, so the materialistic, non-materialistic, the knowledge that we are getting, we are gradually going out from the real knowledge, and how to come back and get those knowledge that will take us to the salvation point. And the last, Shiva Jnana Jiva Seva. So Thakurji, when he completed his Nirvikalpa Samadhi, and when he came as a guru, then with the mother's advice, he started. He needs to go to the public and to bring the people to the salvation point. But at that time he realized the current situation. That time the situation was different. Nobody wanted to follow. Nobody wanted to, whatever he tried to, instruct, nobody tried to understand that, no tried to have interest on that. So then what he did, he started giving some magical power to the power, like anybody has long-term disease, it can cure immediately. Lot of things are there. So he started doing that. Then ultimately that didn't solve the problem, because that again rerouted the people's Maya. They it's overburdened to that. So then with the Guru's advice, he started writing magazines and circulated magazines. With that, some people get excited with that and came to Thakur. And also he started a Sevashram, Gauranga Sevashram, in the starting point, which also people used to go in Assam, in India eastern part, you go to public services. And one point I would like to bring it here. When people used to go to do the service, then Thakur asked, how you are doing the service to the public? And people or some of the disciples said, we are doing this way, that way, that. And what Thakur said? Thakur said, whenever you are going out, think about your Thakurji in a problem and you are serving. If you will keep that in mind, you will not bring the level of service down at all. Your service level will be that top priority. So I like to address those things to to bring how we are bringing up ourselves to that direction, so that we'll ultimately go close to the salvation, and also the public also contact with us. So I just 2 days before I was sleeping here at night, and I was thinking these three balloons moving around. One balloon you can see the very small one, middle one is the bigger, and the last one is a little bigger, the middle one. So the thought, if we will put lots of Maya, the middle one. It's moving, see, the moving is too wildly, it's not constant. And the last one is a little moving, it has already gone with the sadhana, and this is kind of a Siddha. So there are three types. So who the people are coming, starting here, there are a lot of vibrations are there, outside vibrations are there, and when they are doing sadhana, then gradually it's decreasing those outside and it's constant, and now when the Siddha, that will be the first ball. And once the Siddha people, they can serve to the outside public, right? So those are things. So the objective, I would like to, there are so many points there, and time is limited always. So I will thank you everyone to be here, and if I have say something, my mistakes, anything, please excuse me, forgive me. Thank you.
Joy Guru. Manu Bhai next. He will talk about the biography of our dear Thakur.
Joy Guru. Our beloved Shri Thakur Maharaj, our esteemed guest, Mr. Das Bhai and Rudrani Ma, our AMSAS President Raja Bhai, our esteemed local guests who actually took this time off to come here, especially that too in holidays, our beloved Ma Bhai and young aspirants. Today I got this golden opportunity to share the life story or biography of our Shri Thakur Maharaj. Please forgive me for any mistakes that I might commit. I'll start with the Thakur's childhood, and then I'll start with the tipping point of like what changed his life and how he became a guru. And then after that, what he did. So Thakur, our Shri Thakur Maharaj was born in a Nadia district of East Bengal, that is actually in Bangladesh right now. This place is called Kutubpur, where he was born. He was born in the year of 1880 in the month of August, actually it's the 18th of August. His father was Bhuvana Mohan Bhattacharya and his mother was Yogendra Mohini. So Kutubpur, some historical context about the Kutubpur. The Kutubpur, as I mentioned, is in Nadia district. This place was actually renowned. This was a small place. It's a small place, and this place was actually renowned for Sri Chaitanya Dev, who actually preached Bhakti Dharma there. This place, as I mentioned, a small place. There are a lot of people from different professions who live and practice. The people like Muslims are there, as well as some upper caste Hindu Brahmins. Thakur Maharaj's father, Bhuvana Mohan Bhattacharya, he was a devoted Hindu Brahmin, and he was highly respected in his village. And his wife, Yogendra Mohini, was a loving and caring wife. They had two daughters, but they were actually expecting a son, and after several years, they had a son, and they named him as Thakur Maharaj, and they named him Nalini Kanta. So what does the Nalini Kanta mean? Nalini Kanta means radiating energy from sun. Nalini itself means the lotus that opens up with the rising of the sun. From childhood, they already know during his birth that their son would become something really great for the whole world to see. So, so Nalini Kanta, in his childhood days, was very kind of a righteous person, in the sense that he would always raise his voice to any kind of wrongdoing. For example, when he was a child and his teacher asked to tell something like a minor lie to his parents, he kind of raised his voice. For example, his teacher asked to steal jaggery from his home for something and some cause. But he just raised his voice, why should I do it? I mean, I cannot tell lie to my parents. Even, he would raise his voice to any other wrongdoings in the society itself. For example, a daughter-in-law was beating his mother-in-law. He would raise his voice against that. Even he was very open-minded from the childhood days. Although being from upper caste Brahmin, he would support lower caste people. Sometimes like people would not do the funeral rites for the lower caste people, and he would just arrange with all his friends to do the funeral rites. Once, when he was almost like a 7 or 8, age of 7 or 8, he went to this temple, Chandi temple, which was run and managed by his family. He saw illuminating light coming from a small lantern that kind of converged to young looking goddess Durga with 10 hands. He got shocked and he was very nervous. He told this incident to his mother. His mother kind of calmed him down, saying that just like I'm your mother, she is also this mother of this whole universe. There's nothing to be afraid about it. So definitely, as you can see, the signs of his greatness. His parents kind of realized that in another context, like every Brahman has to go through the third ceremony, right? So what happened during the third ceremony, they're supposed to take few steps and then return back. But he was a little bit mischievous in the childhood days. Rather than taking 2 or 3 steps, he took some more steps. And his parents were like really anxious. They kind of got scared that their kid might renounce this world after some time and become sannyasa. So now, in his middle school, an eventful thing happened. He dreamt something really bad about his mother, and later he found that his mother has died of cholera. So he did his education in Radhakantapur, which was his maternal place, and in Kutubpur he came back to Kutubpur to learn about his mother's death. He was shocked, and he was very sad about that, and somehow in the incident in the Chandi temple that he saw Durga, that brought some kind of devotion. But after the death of his mother, he became really sad and kind of lost any faith, in God or goddesses. So gradually he did not see any more of the goddess, neither any dreams. He kind of lost faith and kind of became an atheist. Now, after his mother's death, he focused on his education. He wanted to learn more and wanted to support his family because he was kind of a middle class family. So after after 8th grade, he decided to join some service school to get a job as a land surveyor. His father was a little bit worried because he kind of got some hints that their kid become sannyasi. So his father wanted to marry him off. So they found a really nice girl for him. So her name was Sudhanshu Bala. She was daughter of Vaidyanath Mukhopadhyay, and she belonged to Sabha in West Bengal. Her daughter Sudhanshu Bala was very beautiful, and from childhood days she knew all the household work. So what Nalinikanta did, that they left their maternal place, they went back to their father's place because his father is a widower now, and he wanted his wife and him to support his father. So they went back, they supported their father. Nalinikanta looked for a job and found a teaching job there. He did the job there, and later the education that he was pursuing as a land surveyor, he found that job as well. As I mentioned, during his childhood days, Nalinikanta was a very righteous person. He was always raised his opinion against the wrongdoing. And any other company like us, even in today's world, there's always a politics coming from higher officials, right? So Nalinikanta was like, he was talking from one job to another because he cannot see this political conflict in his company. As such, what happened? Sudhanshu Bala, his wife, and they got kind of separated. Although being distant, they led a very virtuous and peaceful married life. So now comes the tipping point, what really happened. So on one night, in his job, when Nalinikanta was actually working really hard in the middle of night, he suddenly saw a shadowy figure next to his table, working table. And that shadowy figure belonged to his wife, Sudhanshu Bala. he was a little bit furious and baffled in the sense that how come Sudhanshu Bala could travel from his father's places, that is in Kuttaspur, to his job place, because those are really far off places. He could not understand what this implication means. So he was anxious, and in few days there was Durga Puja. So he went to Kuttaspur for the Durga Puja and learned after going to Kuttaspur that his wife has died just an hour before he saw shadowy figure. So now comes his curiosity. His mother has passed away, his wife has passed away. He kind of first this term for death. He said that, I mean, we learn, we do a job, we study education, but at the end, the death could come to us at any point of time. We do not have any control of our death. And this is bad. He got really frustrated because death took his mother, took his wife. So he really now wanted to do research into what does mean life after death. He really wanted to see, understand what happened. And of course, he saw his wife's shadowy figure several other times as well. That kind of convinced him that there is something that exists, beyond this mortal world. So he wanted, in order to do some research, he first started going to Adyar within Chennai. There is a Theosophical Society was run and managed by Madam Blavatsky and Colonel Alcott at that time. So he learned all the stuff that they could actually provide and teach, and with those he could communicate with the outer world via medium, but he was not really content with that. He was not really satisfied. He wanted to learn more. He asked, them like what they can do more, but they said, at the end of whatever we know from our saints and hermits from India. So why don't you go back to them? So remember when his mother died, he became an atheist. He was a disbeliever into the saints and hermits of India. So now he thought that, okay, I want to go to them. I want to learn from them. So he went to Kolkata, back. He met a Swami called Swami Purnananda, who was a professor at Duff's College, and he was going to give a sermon there at Kolkata. Just by going to a sermon, just by listening to him, he kind of fell in love. He wanted to be a disciple of him. He asked Swami Purnananda, can I be a disciple of yours? He said, I'm not your guru. Your guru is someone else. Now he realized that there is something going on here. At that point of time, he wanted to become a devout Brahmin. He left eating non-vegetarian food, he became a vegetarian. He led a pious life, and he looked for his guru, but he could not get any answer. In one of the middle of the night, he got a dream from a saint who gave him one letter word on a bail list, right? One letter word on a bail list. He was surprised to see this, and that guru said that this is your mantra. So now he has a bail list with a one letter word as a mantra, but he don't know how to infer that. What is the meaning of that? He went nearby places looking for scholarly people, asking them, what does this mean? Does anyone know? He went to Kashi, where is the land of Lord Vishwanath Annapurna Devi. He searched for answers, but he could not find them. So at this tipping point, he kind of thought that he would commit suicide by plunging himself into the river Ganges. Then, again in the middle of the night, he received another dream from Lord Vishwanath that, you take this mantra and go to Tarapet, and there is your Tantric Guru, Bamakheta. There is your next Guru. So very next day he went to Tarapet. Now Tarapet is very famous for Tantric cultures in India. And the Guru, Bamakheta, was a very esteemed, well-known Tantric Guru there. He was called Bhairavi of Tantra or Tarapet. And he got alignment by worshipping the goddess there, Tara. Okay. Then he went to his Bamakheta Guru, and Bamakheta quickly realized the mantra, and he knows that this is a blessed kid. So he offered him that you have a blessing of goddess Tara. I would give you every possible teachings and the path to achieve your desired goals. With the help of Bamakheta, he went through this process, the methodology of Tantric Sadhana, and achieved the desired goal by getting Mother Goddess, or the goddess of this universe. He asked him several questions. At the end, Goddess gave him a boon to ask something. Then he asked one thing. I need this thing is that whenever and wherever I wish, you'll be present. So goddess Tara, or goddess of the universe, blessed him. Then after that, when goddess Tara emerged, he found that goddess Tara emerged from the light illuminating from his body and creating a formation of an image, and that again this image kind of converged into his body. So he asked the Bhamakhyapa that goddess Tara came out from his body and kind of merged inside his body again. So who am I? So Bhamakhyapa was a little bit baffled and also a little bit angry, and then he went to goddess Tara, asked him the next step. So he came back with the answers and said that your next, you have to find a Jnani Guru, you have to move towards the west. So now Ramanikanta moved to west and looked for Jnani Guru. When I think after searching for parts, he was in Ajmer a day. He was really hungry, he was tired. There was a Bengali gentleman who helped him with the shelter and food, and kind of offered to and kind of mentioned that there is a famous guru that is coming, or famous person that is coming to give or address a gathering there. Once he went there and saw that person, he found that this is the same person, the saint who gave him the mantra on the Bail Day. So he recognized him, he fell on his feet and said, I found him. So his guru was Swami Satchidananda, and he asked to be his disciple. Swami Satchidananda gladly accepted him, but he did not give him monkhood. He was kind of testing him. He tested him through various kind of things that he went through. But Ramanikanta was so dying to get that knowledge that he could do whatever possible under Swami Satchidananda. So Swami Satchidananda was very pleased and kind of indoctrinated him to a monkhood where he learned Vedas and other stuff. So gradually he gave him the name called Swami Nigamananda. Nigamananda, when he split, Nigam means Vedas and Ananda means divine joy. So the combination of Swami Nigamananda he gave. And he asked him to do go to 4 dhamas, which is Badrika, Dwarka, Rameshwaram and Puri. He went there, came back, and he asked him to find a yogi guru to do the practice, because now he learned the theory, right? And now he wants to really do the practice of it. He went to the Kota in part of Rajasthan, where he met a female yogini who asked him to go to the eastern part of India in Arunachal Pradesh. So he went there to the Arunachal Pradesh. He became a part of this pilgrimage that was going to Parshuram Tirtha. He fell sick in the middle of this journey. So the people who were taking him, they kind of dropped him there, and he was taken care by a tribal group. And then he became well, and he every time when he was there, he goes to to see the sunset behind the mountain. So once while going there and he could not return back, he could not find his path, he tried to pass away the night by staying in a cave inside the trunk of a tree, and suddenly in the middle of the night he saw fire underneath the tree. So he found a saint was lighting a campfire underneath the tree. He climbed down the tree to find who he was. This guy asked him, follow me. So he just went and followed him, and this guy stopped near the front of the cave and told, I am your yogi guru, so meri ja. So he taught him all the principles of the yogi guru, the methods like the yoga sadhana and pranayam and nadi sodhana and all those process. He went through that. But in order to practice that forever and ever, he needs a lot of energy and strength. So he asked him to go to a family where they will provide you with all the required tools and materials so that you can practice this. So then he came back. While went to the Guwahati and all, he found a family, Yogeshwara Vishwas, who kind of gave him a shelter, kind of provided him all the kind of environment to practice this yoga. So in his house, he attended the second highest of the meditation, which is Sabhikarpa Samadhi. Then after he found the Sabhikarpa Samadhi, he was gradually curious to do the Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So he went to the Bhubaneswari temple there's a hilltop in the Kamakhya, where he attended the Nirvikalpa Samadhi. That is the highest form of the meditation. Not only he attended the highest form of meditation, but he also returned from there with this desire or with the feeling that I am Guru. After he returned, he was excited, he was exuberant, and he wanted to tell all about his Jnani Guru Satchidananda, that's how he attended Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So he wanted to go to the west, but in the middle, in Ujjain, he went to Madhya Pradesh, where Kumbh Mela was being organized. There he found his guru, Satyananda was also there, and there was another person called Sansacharya of Sringeri Mutt, who kind of asked him several questions, to which he really answered nicely, and he was very convinced with his answer and gave him the title of Paramahansa. So this title indicates the highest of this title in the Hindu world, correct? And hence his name became Paramahansa Parivrajacharya Srimad Swami Nigamananda Saraswati Deva. I could not remember the name, it's such a long title. So after that, he was in Kashi. In Kashi, there is a saying that this is the land of Annapurna Devi and nobody remains hungry. Any new person coming to Kashi never leaves hungry. So he wanted to test the veracity of the statement. So what he did, he sat in the ghat or the bank of the river Ganges. He went in meditation, and then suddenly, after some time, he found an old woman asking him, "Can you take care of my small bag? I'm going to take a bath." So after that, he again went back to his own meditation, and the old woman never returned. So he was curious, what was in his bag? He saw there was a lot of nice food. Now he could really found that yes, Annapurna Devi is there. So after eating the food, he slept and he dreamt. Annapurna Devi came to his dream and asked that and told him that your knowledge is incomplete. Your knowledge is still incomplete even after you came from Nirvikalpa Samadhi. He told that you have attended the Brahman, but there is something other that you have to know. It's called Abara Brahman. Is that the God lives in every small of the smallest and tiniest particle as well. You have to realize that, and that is a path of devotion that you have to go. So after that, Swami Nigamananda went to the Himalayas, to the Gorima, because there was some historical context. I would not take much time into that, why he went to Gorima. But he went to Gorima. Gorima received him cordially and kind of enlightened him with the path of devotion. He mentioned that, no one else in this world is nearest and dearest than God. The moment like he lost his mother, he lost his wife, he became sad. But the realization that God loves and blesses everyone, will remove this sadness. That realization kind of he achieved through the process. So after that he came back to the Guwahati and again reunited with his goddess. So the goddess had given him a blessing in his past life that if, or kind of a condition, made a condition that if you become the master of this universe or become the Lord Shiva, I'll become your wife. So now he has become a master of the universe, he has become Lord of Shiva, and goddess of the universe gladly accepted to be his wife and remained as his wife like Sudhamsubala. So with her in the Garo Hills of Assam, he wrote this famous book that we all know about, Yogi Guru. And followed by Yogi Guru, he wrote other 4 books, Jnani Guru, Tantrika Guru, Premika Guru, and Brahmacharya Sadhana. He also released a monthly magazine called Arya Darpana. Now he has to help. God has asked him to help our downtrodden people, to release them, to make do their self-realization, to come to the true identity. So he also made a contract with the goddess that, okay, I will do this, but there is a condition that any of my disciples who follow me through their lifetime will get their salvation in one lifetime. And also, if people are against me, correct, and follow some other gurus, they will still get their salvation in 3 lifetimes. To which goddess agreed. And after that, he established different ashramas in Bangladesh, 5 ashramas in total, and 3 of them are actually in Bangladesh. Then followed by he frees this path of jnana and bhakti sadhana, but and also in Bangladesh, also in Assam, part of he opened different institutions like Sri Gauranga Seva Niketan to help the people, and also to do the servitude and Rishi Vidyalaya for right education. He also opened Saraswata Sangha, which is now opened in 1912, and in 1918 it came to be known as Saraswata Math in Assam, Bangiya. It came to know as Assam, Bangiya, Saraswata Math. When Swami Nigamananda returned from his yogi sadhana and all, he was exhibiting different powers. He was doing things like they are magical. He was curing people. He was bringing death from life, life from death, and he was like extinguishing fire. He was doing something, but after some time he kind of stopped doing this. He wanted to become a simple, normal human being. And during the later part, like last 14 years, he came to Odisha, where he settled down in Puri. He chose Puri because of there are reasons. Like Puri is essential because he had already visited Puri once, but there was also a reason, like because Puri upholds the principle of principle of Jnana and the Prema, the Jnana of Acharya Sankara and Prema of Sri Gauranga Dev. And this is the path that he asked his followers to follow, the combination of Jnana and Bhakti to attain the ultimate path of devotion towards the salvation. In Puri, he bought a house called Nirachara Kutira, and from his house you can see the beautiful waves of Bay of Bengal as well as Lord Jagannath. And he preaches and he established in 1934, the day when he was born, Bhulana Purnima. On same day, very same day, he established our Nirachara Saraswata Sangha with the people from Odisha itself. Finally, so basically his teachings were very simple, to be a simple human being, as Vijay has said, and lead an ideal household life, form Sangha and exchange spiritual experiences among them. Finally, on 29th of November 1935, he left his mortal body. So Swami Nigamananda's specialty lies in ultimate spiritual attainment in 4 important areas as we went about his life history, like yoga, tantra, jnana and prema. Thus, he is known as Sarvabhauma Guru, which is a universal master. He has advised his disciples and devotees just to love him a little, and there is no need of any arduous exercise for spiritual progress in life. Live a simple life that he wanted to say. In order to firmly establish his truth to the society, he spread the Mahamantra named Joy Guru. He has advised all his disciples and devotees to recite the Joy Guru mantra to get their ishta. Joy Guru. Please, I beg forgiveness for Thakur Maharaj and all if any mistakes I committed. Joy Guru.
Joy Guru. Next, Shreyama is going to sing a song, Dhanya Dhanya Gurudeva.
Jai Guru. Dhanya Dhanya Guru Deva Srinigamananda Dhanya Dhanya Guru Deva Srinigamananda Bitari gala bhakati aturananda tuma upadesa jete Bitari gala bhakati aturananda tuma upadesa jete he ujibanara chira sathi marate tuma upadesa jete he ujibanara chira sathi marate tuma upadesa jete vidhi bare bhagya banta janani piyara vidhi bare bhagya banta janani piyara rakhi तुमे धराको आसिल रखिले नलिनी कान्त नामटे तुमर तुमे धराको आसिल भकति कमल जन मने फुटाइला तुमे धराको आसिल भकति कमल जन मने फुटाइला तुमे धराको आसिल पिन्धी डोर कौपिनी कण्ठे बान्धी माळी पिन्धी डोर कौपिनी कण्ठे बान्धी माळी भकति बिहुने मिळी देखि बन मळी शिखा लजाने भकति बिहुने मिळी देखि बन मळी शिखा इल तुमे जाने घरे बसी डाक देरे मिळी बेसे दिने शिखा इल तुमे जाने घरे बसी डाक देले मिळी बेसे दिने शिखा इल तुमे जाने आखि आगे सीना तुमा मरा देह नाही आखि आगे सीना तुमा मरा देह नाही कथा कहुआछ तुमे पासे पासे थाई मन पुराई डाकिले कथा कहुआछ तुमे पासे पासे थाई मन पुराई डाकिले आखि पिछुड़ा के आसी देखा दिया भले मन पुराई डाकिले आखि पिछुड़ा के आसी देखा दिया भले मन पुराई डाकिले थाओ पछि दूरे तुम उपदेश बाणी थाओ पछि दूरे तुम उपदेश बाणी सुखु थाउ काने काने इतिकी मागुणी जय हे चिर मर शुभु थाउ काने काने इतिकी मागुणी जय हे चिर मर किन कर चरण रे भगति जुहार जय हे चिर मर घिना कर चरण रे भगति जुहार जय हे चिर मर घिना कर चरण रे भगति जुहार जय हे चिर मर
Guru, Borodhai. We'll talk about spirituality in the midst of global unrest.
Good. Am I audible? Okay, good. My dear Thakur and Samrat Bhai, and Rajyanima, George Bhai, and President. It's glad to have you. Few years back you were there, and we are blessed to have you today. And our guests and my dear Maaz Bhai and understand. So this particular topic, this is what called me, and this particular topic changes year by year. All other topics are similar, we cover everywhere. So he called and he said, what about talking something about spirituality in today's context? Particularly, especially after coming out of the pandemic, one of the worst pandemic of our lifetime, and just after the pandemic, war, the infection, and I don't want to go to the list, it goes on and on. And what is the context of spirituality? And I was thinking about it. Okay. So, one of the highest spiritual, the essence of entire Upanishad or Vedanta was told by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita in the midst of a war. I was started to thinking about is that, why is that? Unless and until we come to the life and death situation, as a human being, we are not waking up. So it reminds me a story. Buddha was returning with his disciple and taking rest on the top of a mountain, and they wake up in the morning to the sound of the trumpet. And after one of his disciples wakes up and looks, and there are thousands of soldiers from both sides just started to fight at the beginning of the morning. And he quickly asked, my Lord, thousands of soldiers are there. How many of them are going to die? Buddha replied, all of them, if not today, one day. So it's very powerful that unless and until that death knocks the door, people generally don't wake up to the call of spirituality. In fact, the human body, which has the nervous system, which is attuned for devotion, which is attuned for enlightenment, most of us don't take it. When Sri Thakur returned to the society, as beautifully Anub Bhai was narrating his life, he realized one thing. He said, for thousands of years, there has been enlightened beings walked on the surface of this earth. The Buddha, the Jesus, Lord Krishna, avatars, and many thousands of gurus and the spiritual masters. But human being as a whole has not been transformed yet. We still have that limbic brain. We still have that fight and fight mentality. Wakes up. The greed. Today, there is so many theories. We are talking about what is the root cause of the pandemic, whether it is human-made, whether it is made in lab, whether it is a conspiracy, but ultimately it is a human creation. Doesn't matter what comes out of the end of this, it is still human beings. The human greed, if we look today as human species from outer space, we will probably look like we are the cancer cell on the surface of this earth, killing out all the other lives and making them extinct. Just a statistic, how our human greed and things have come to the point, 1% of the entire population now holds up to 40% of the entire wealth, and bottom 50% of the entire population only holds 2% of the entire wealth of the world. Highly disparity, and the way we are consuming, there is a simulation in MIT. If you want to play with, you can play. We need at least 5 or 6 hours the way our consumption is going on to sustain it, unless we bring things. So epidemiologists have been telling for decades now, there are 3 possible scenarios for human beings. Okay, so they are telling either human being will wake up, that okay, this is not sustainable, we have to follow a part of sustainability, which spirituality is all about in a way. Second option is nature will tell that a human being was a good experiment, but let's stop it. Maybe we should try another species. Human being was a good experiment, didn't work out. Or the third thing is nature will bring us to a point where we will wake up. I think if this pandemic and the war and what is coming forward tells that probably that is the nature is giving us a chance to wake up. The reason I'm telling is when Thakur came to the society, he realized that there are thousands of spiritual masters in the world, but the human being fundamentally has not changed. It still has those things, and we can be in the brink of a war on a nuclear catastrophe if things don't go well, and that threat is still around actually. So instead of focusing, if you look at most of the spiritual masters, they come up and they have a successor. They have a successor, or they at least place importance on one or two people who will carry forward. Rather, Thakur intended for a spiritual transformation of the society through the spiritual association called Sangha. So when I was doing a little bit of research about why Thakur was doing that way and what is the purpose behind the spiritual congregation and how it can help towards the spiritual transformation, I can give a metaphor from evolutionary biology which explains very beautifully, which is, by the way, as an example, in Upanishad, a caterpillar turns into a butterfly. If you look at the caterpillar, it is very different species, way different than a butterfly. It is a total transformation in the biological realm, and that is the kind of transformation needed in the society if we want to evolve to the next stage of humanity. So what happens? Caterpillar comes to a point in its life when it consumes more than it needs. So it becomes fatter and fatter and fatter before it dies. All caterpillars, by the time its time of death comes, it will become fat and fat and fat. It's very similar to what we are doing as a human being. At some point, its immune cell starts to fight itself like an autoimmune disease. It thinks this growth is unsustainable, it internally fights that. And when it does, caterpillar starts to die. But for some reason which is unknown today for the biologists, there are certain cells they call imaginal cells, they don't die. They somehow survive the attack of the immune cells. The immune cells keep attacking them, they don't die, and they survive. And they use the dying carcass of the caterpillar as the nutritional soup. Like in the laboratory, we culture the cell and they start to grow. They start to grow eating its own soup. And after a certain time, those imaginary cells which survive, they start to connect with each other. They connect. And the emergence, there is a sleeping DNA that wakes up at some point which has the information for the butterfly, and it takes up. And then the carcass dies out and the emergence of a butterfly happens. If you look at it in the biological term, this transformation is remarkable. It's totally remarkable. And today if we look at any enlightened being, like a Buddha or Jesus or somebody, we think how it is possible, being in the flesh and blood, how it is possible, we cannot even relate. So Thakur's whole point was this, that when an enlightened being comes to us, or a master or something, we all praise. We say, oh great, we worship, we pray, we say, hey, do this favor, that favor, this, that. But we don't want to be like them. Majority of the society don't. If you bring Jesus today or Buddha today or any great human who were human beings but they went into the extraordinary spiritual realm, everybody will say, I would be happy to pray them. But you ask them, do you want to be like them? No, I'm okay with my greed, I'm okay with my little life. That is what most of the people have been. So Thakur said that, every individual needs to change to create a certain critical mass of the people if we want to transform society as a whole. Individual transformation has happened. At least 4,000, 5,000 years back, human beings have created Laoji, Buddha, Jesus, they have come, and still today enlightened beings like Thakur are coming. but human being as a society has not transformed. So Thakura's major emphasis was three things. So let me tell you why spirituality in the context of today's unrest is important. Three things Thakura emphasized. Vijay Bhai is hinted on one, being a good human being. Second thing, Thakura said, create Sangha. This Sangha is, I consider these are the nutritional, these are the imaginal cells. They are hoping for a better society. Okay, and many people coming from different parts who have that spiritual quest, looking into a Sangha where they can create that critical mass, where they can fight back on the human self which is trying to destroy the whole thing. Okay. And this transformation is not about the individual transformation, it is going to be a collective transformation, because individual transformation for thousands of years still produces the same human being with this limbic brain of a fight and fight, greed and all kinds of things which is causing this. So, I have, in this topic, I can talk for long time, but Brajabhai has already indicated we were running out of time, so I would just not take much of the time. Only thing last I would say that I was thinking of sharing with all of you few of the spiritual points which I have been contemplating during this pandemic to share with you, but that will be for another time. So with this thing, I would say, I would pray to Thakura and all of us, all of you, to embark upon this spirituality, which is the only way we can sustain, grow, and not only enlighten for ourselves, but for a brighter future for all of us. Okay, Joy.
Joy, thank you, guys. Zero, you are next. I request, he's like my younger brother, Mr. Dhirendra Kara, to share his thoughts, just few words.
जय गुरु, जय जगन्नाथ। समस्त को नमस्कार। आमे एमती गोटे जगार आशा जगन्नाथ देश से जी पहुंची तांकर होकर रही जाए आपण मैंने जहाँ पाखे गुरु को पूजा कर जगह जाकि जगन्नाथ पाखे रही प्रेम भल पाइबा आउ जड़े केमती भल मनीष हम भगवान हवा आवश्यकता नहीं कि भल मनीष हबार आवश्यकता अच्छे। वृंदावन भी बढ़िया भाव में बुझाते मुझे कथा को दोहरेबी। God has created enough for all human needs, but not enough for one person greed. जोटा कि असुविधा होती वर्तमान जनसंख्या बढ़ी बढ़ी चलती। भारत में 1.5 बिलियन लोक हो गले किंतु मनीष मानकर संख्या बहुत कमी जाऊँ। जो जिनस सबुठ असहाय है मनीष शिशु जन्म होला जदि किए जब न भरिक खावाई नदब तार सबू कर्तव्य न कर सी बंची पार आउ सबू जीवजंतु देखो बंची जावाई अच्छे किंतु मनीष शिशु बंची पार तेणु ताकू प्रथम हिसाब से भगवान हिसाब से मिली तार माँ 9 मास धरिकी पेट्रे गर्भ रखी बड़ कर माँ मैंने बस मो मन सबुठ बड़ दुख अच्छी जदि केतले गोटे माँ हबार जो गर्व और माँ हबार जो पुण्यता से गोटे पुरुष के अनुभव कर तेणु सब माँ मान को नमस्कार। आउ आम ओडिया जातिर प्राण ओडिया भागवत से गोटे कथा कहुई मनीष देहे दिव्य ज्ञान देखी संतोष भगवान तेणु भगवान भी निजे मनुष्य देहरे भल जिन देखिकी खुशी हो पार्टी तेणु मु बेले बेले भावे आम बहुत क्षुद्राति क्षुद्र किसी करनु किंतु आज जहाँ कि यही कोविड समय गोटे कथा निहाती भाव में भाविले जितेबले समस्ते सारा विश्व में हाहाकार पड़ जाइए ऑक्सीजन पाई शह शह लोक मरी जाइए गोटे गोटे सिलिंडर पर केतिक पैसा खर्च होची आमे आज पर्यंत भितर केतिक ऑक्सीजन नहीं तो फेरबार दरकार तापाई तो किसी कर दरकार तेणु भगवान को किसी करार ना जदि भगवान को पाइबापी अच्छे मनीष देहर देखापी चेष्टा कर आ जगन्नाथ हेले मानववादर विश्व मानववादर प्रतीक जगन्नाथ को पूजा करने कौन वैदिक रिचुअल्स दरकार नहीं जमती डाक भावर देवता सी तेणु भाव डाकिले दासिया बावरीर नड़िया भी नहीं सबरीर अईठा फल भी नहीं सेमती मनीष भर जब मनीष को देखिपारे तेणु भाई मान भर जगन्नाथ को देखु बलभद्र को देखु माँ मान भर सुभद्रा को देखु सबुदिने आपण को भगवान दर्शन हो बहुत भल लगे आपण मैंने जो सम्मान देले भल पाइबा देले बहुत दिन पर यहाँ गोटे थिला मोर आसवाई आग्रह किंतु कन्फ्लिक्ट हो जाए कौन ओषा कन्वेन्शन आ कन्वेन्शन एका समय हुए मु 22 वर्ष रही 19 वर्ष ओषा कन्वेन्शन में रही किंतु एथर जगन्नाथ कृपारू ये थी ब्रज भाई मोर बड़ भाई आतेबले कहले आज्ञा शिरोधार्य आसली आपण मान भल पाइबा मत बहुत अभिभूत कर आमे गोटे रथ 9 तारिख करुचु जो मैंने अच्छा जदि आपण मैंने आसीपारे देखी खुशी हे जे ओडिया जाति कहीं बड़ यही जगह रहीकि जो मैंने भी किसी न जानिकी गोटे 30 फुट रथ भी तैयारी कर पारे तेणु आपण मानू एवं गुरु को किंतु कारण जीवन में जब किसी पुण्यता पाइबापी हेले गुरु है प्रथम बापमा हेले गुरु से माने जीवंत देवता तांकु भल पातु तांकु आशीर्वाद थाउ दुनिया रे केबे अपन कोठी हटि जिवे तो गुरु ब्रह्मा गुरु विष्णु गुरुदेव महेश्वर गुरु साक्षात परम ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरु नमः जय गुरु।
Thank you, Tara. You turn out Indian very now we sing something. Okay, sure.
You can have that mic.
Thank you very much to everyone in this congregation for inviting us to join with you in your worship and in your worship of your Gurudev, and also for inviting us to talk about the holy name. So that's what my husband and I are going to be talking about. So before I start chanting the holy name, I thought I would read a couple of things with references to some of the sacred scriptures of the Vedas that talk about how the holy name is so important. So let me say still. We're talking about Jnana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. One of the most important principles in the process of Bhakti Yoga is the chanting of the holy names of the Lord, especially in the form of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That's what we chant all the time. The Lord Maha means great, and mantra, of course, means to deliver the mind, that which breaks our understanding of who we are and makes it very clear that we're not this body. Sri Krishna, the Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 2 talks about you're not the body. That's a principle for spiritual life. Unless there is at least a theoretical understanding of this principle, we cannot make progress as long as we identify ourselves with the body. It's explained over and over, but in the Bhagavad Gita, especially the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna is talking about that. Even in the early Vedic literature of the Rig Veda, 1.156.3, we find the following prayers that describe many of the unique characteristics and potencies of the name of God, in this case, in the name of Vishnu. And so I'm going to be quoting from this Rig Veda. O Supreme Lord Sri Vishnu, your sacred nama or name is absolutely cognizant and all-illuminating because the entire Vedic scriptures have emanated from you. Your name is the wellspring of supreme bliss. The embodiment of Brahman is readily available and is full of transcendental knowledge. We meditate upon the purport of your name, discuss your name amongst ourselves, and chant your name continuously. In this way, we worship you. Continuing, O Shri Vishnu, ever since our faith in you has become steadfast, our desire to gain your direct audience has led us to offer incessant prayers at your lotus feet, which are the purifying agents of the heart of the devotees, and replete with relishable transcendental pastimes. Of course, we talk about the transcendental pastimes of Sri Krishna in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10. We always hear the glorification of your unsurpassable qualities and praise them amongst ourselves. In this way, we have taken shelter of your omnipotent and all-purifying name. How important it is to address the Supreme Lord. You're addressing Sri Guru, right? How important it is to address Sri Guru and the Supreme Lord. O sages, know for certain that the original, primeval, supreme personality of Godhead you seek is Sri Krishna. Worship Him in this realization, for He is the ultimate goal of the Vedas. In Bhagavad Gita 15:15 says, I am to be known by all the Vedas. That's the purpose of the Vedas. The absolute essence. He is the embodiment of eternity, absolute knowledge, and divine bliss. That's such Chit and Ananda. The purpose of human life is to know Him, the Supreme Lord, to describe Him and the wonderful pastimes of His incarnations. And then at the end of this paragraph it says, to chant Harinam, in other words, the name of the Supreme Lord Hari, is the most relishable activity and the bestower of the greatest pleasure. There are so many references. This book is written by Sri Nandanandana Stephen Nath, and it's available if you're interested. We can pass you this information also about the glories of the divine holy name of the Supreme Lord. quotes, in the Agni Purana it is said, whoever chants the word Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, even negligently, will achieve the goal without doubt. Then, in the Brahmanda Purana, it is also said, whoever chants Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is freed from all sins. It was Sri Gauranga, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gauranga Mahaprabhu, the greatest preacher of the glories of the holy name, who combined these two statements, thereby issuing the words Hare Krishna and Hare Rama to drown the world in love of God, Krishna Prema. This is really powerful stuff. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught his followers, as Gauranga Mahaprabhu, and the world to chant the 16-word mantra Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we're going to do a little bit of Harinam, which is a very powerful way of invoking the presence of the Supreme Lord. And the way we normally do this is call and response, as you are all familiar with this method. And so I will be singing, and I would ask the audience to please repeat, in other words, chant the mantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare make a lot of noise. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna everybody. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, be the most powerful way when we chant together to invoke the presence of the Supreme Lord, and he becomes totally purified. Even I was reading that even if we chant negligently, the sins are eradicated. Thank you for the opportunity. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Guru.
Thank you very much. As a matter of fact, I forgot one more item here. Smita Baima was supposed to sing one song as well. Okay. So let her sing then. Okay. Apologies.
More songs the better.
Thank you, Prabhupada.
গুরু তোমার আমি তোমার আমি তোমারি তো আমি গুরু তোমার আমি তোমার আমি তোমারি তো আমি আবার তুমি আমার আমি তোমার আমার সকল তুমি আবার তুমি আমার আমি তোমার আমার সকল তুমি গুরু তোমার আমি তোমার আমি তোমারি তো আমি গুরু তোমার আমি তোমার আমি তোমারি তো আমি আমি রথ তুমি রথি আমার সকল কাজে তুমি সাথী আমি রথ তুমি রথি আমার সকল কাজে তুমি সাথী গুরু তোমার বলে সবাই চলে যেমন চালাও তুমি গুরু তোমার বলে সবাই চলে যেমন চালাও তুমি বাড়ি বিনা দিন যেমন তুমি ছাড়া আমি তেমন বাড়ি বিনা দিন যেমন তুমি ছাড়া আমি তেমন আমার প্রাণের জ্বালা যায় কি বলো যারে অন্তর জানি গুরু তোমার আমি তোমার আমি তোমারি তো আমি গুরু তোমার আমি তোমার আমি তোমারি তো আমি লতা যেমন তরুণীরে জড়িয়ে ধরে থাকে তারে লতা যেমন তরু ঘিরে জড়িয়ে ধরে থাকে তারে লতার মতো হৃদয়ের তো তোমায় জড়িয়ে থাকি আমি লতার মতো হৃদয়ের তো তোমায় জড়িয়ে থাকি আমি তোমার ধনী আমি ধনী তোমার জ্ঞানে আমি জ্ঞানী তোমার ধনী আমি ধনী তোমার আমি তোমারই তো আমি আবার তুমি আমার আমি তোমার আমার সকল তুমি আবার তুমি আমার আমি তোমার আমার সকল তুমি গুরু তোমার আমি তোমার আমি তোমারই তো আমি
Om Gyanatimurandasya Ganan Shalakaya Chakru Ume Tangena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yeno Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swabhadantikam Nama Om Vishnu Badaya Krishna Vastai Bhutale Shanti Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanamani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Vicharni Nirvasesa Sunyabadi Prashashadeshtarni Vanchakalpa Tarubhyas Cha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So when we heard from Vishwanath Bhai that he wanted actually to talk about Nam Prabhu, Nam, the name of the Lord, and this is the name of God as given to us by Guru Dev is the principle of our spiritual life, especially in this age of Kali, which is called the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. So we've been hearing about the life of Sri Sri Thakur and how he perfected himself through different yoga paths, Gyan, and what are the four? I forgot. Tantra, Gyan, and yoga, and then praying. Praying being love of God, pure love of God, which is obtained through the process of bhakti, or service to God, selfless service to God. It is no coincidence that at the end of his life, Sri Sri Thakur spent his time in Puri, where Lord Jagannath is worshipped. The same Puri where Gauranga Mahaprabhu spent the last part of his life on this planet. Of course, lives of the saints and lives of God and the life of God are not like our lives. Their lives are special. But when the saintly person stays in a place like Puri and engages in chanting the name of God and worshiping the form of God, then this is an example for our lives. That we should take up the name of God on our lips and worship the Lord through the name. So this form of bhakti, actually Thakurji also said this, that in this age of Kali, in this age, bhakti is the most sublime and easy process to follow. Tantra, Gyan, Yoga, these are not so easy. And the results are not very sure. But with bhakti, the result is sure. Because the name of God, the Nam, is the same as God. So when I chant Krishna's name, Krishna, that word, the name Krishna is synonymous with Krishna. If I say water, or pani, or agua, or Wasser, in different languages, I denote water, but I don't get water unless someone hands me a bottle of water, and I can drink the water. But when I invoke the name, when we invoke the name of God, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. When we invoke that name, then actually we are bringing God in our presence. So, how important it is to chant the names. Now, there's a story of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. When he was a young man, he was a logician, and of course he was still a devotee of God, of Krishna, but his life was a study of Nyaya Shastra and the study of logic, and he was full of arguments about different philosophies. But just as we see in the story of Thakurji, by meeting his guru, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu meets Ishvara Puri and is given the Maha Mantra, and it changes his life, and he becomes completely filled with Krishna Prem, or love of Krishna, love of God. So, after he had become filled with the Prem of Bhakti, he did not stay at home in Navadvip in Bengal, but rather he took up the sannyas order. And as a sannyasi, as a renunciate, he traveled to many, many places. And one of the places he traveled to was Kashi, or Benares, Varanasi, where there were many, many Shankarite sannyasis, still are. And of course, Shankaracharya is renowned all over the world, all over India, certainly, as a great propounder of Vedic understanding, the monistic understanding of the absolute truth. And although Lord Chaitanya was actually initiated by Keshava Bharati, who was in the line of Shankar, he didn't act like the other sannyasis who are studying the Vedas and engaging in long periods of quiet meditation and engaging in different pursuits that were in line with what was considered what a sannyasi does. But rather, he was in the street chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra in congregation with so many other people. So, at one point, he went to meet with these sannyasis, these Shankarite sannyasis, and when he came there, he took a very humble position. He sat in a lower place, lower than the rest of them. Yes. And Prakashananda Saraswati, he said, "No, Maharaj, please sit here, sit in an exalted place." He could see that he was an exalted personality. He could see that this person, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gauranga Mahaprabhu, he exhibited the effulgence of the Supreme Lord. And he asked him a question. He said, "You're in our line. You're a sannyasi, but you're not even associating with us. You're spending your time in the streets with different people who are we consider to be not so advanced in spiritual life, and we just don't know why you don't want to be with us and why you're keeping yourself separate." And so the Lord replied, he said, "I belong to a lower order of sannyasis, therefore I do not deserve to sit with you." And he is exhibiting here, Trinadapi, Sunichena, Tororapi, Sahishana, Amanina, Manadena, Kirtaniya, Sadhari, that chant the holy name, we should be humble like the grass, tolerant like a tree, not expect any respect from others, but give respect to everyone else. And he's the Lord doing this. But as he's sitting there and they're questioning him, he says, well, actually, let me tell you why I'm doing what I'm doing. I have been told that I am a fool by my... well, first, let's say, Prakashananda said, meditation and study of the Vedanta are the sole duties of a sannyasi. Why do you abandon these to dance with fanatics? You look as brilliant as Narayan himself. Will you kindly explain the reason that you have adopted behavior that of a lower class person? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then replied, he said to Prakashananda Saraswati, he said, my dear sir, kindly hear the reason. My spiritual master considered me a fool, and therefore he chastised me. He used the word murka, being fool. He said, you are a fool. You are not qualified to study Vedanta philosophy, and therefore you must always chant the holy name of Krishna. This is the essence of all mantras or Vedic hymns. Now, it's to be understood that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is no fool, just as Gurudev is no fool. They're not fools. But sometimes they will take that position in order to teach some kind of a way of understanding, because we are foolish. So that it's impossible to study Vedanta philosophy successfully in this age. So Lord Chaitanya says, simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna, one can obtain freedom from material existence. Indeed, simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, one will be able to see the lotus feet of the Lord. And then my Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada, he writes, says the holy name and the Lord are identical. One who is completely free from the clutches of Maya can understand that fact. This knowledge, which is achieved by the mercy of the spiritual master, by Guru, places one on the supreme transcendental platform. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu presented himself as a fool because prior to accepting the shelter of a spiritual master, he could not understand that simply by chanting, one can be relieved from all material conditions, just like we just heard about spirituality in the midst of global unrest. The whole world's crazy. It's always been crazy. Srila Prabhupada once had a pamphlet he handed out in the 1960s, Who is Crazy? Are we crazy? Are you crazy? Maybe we're all crazy. Well, we're certainly crazy if we're separated from Krishna, separate from our spirit, from our Ishtadev. We want to associate with them. And because they are perfect and complete, if we associate with them, our lives will be perfect and complete. So the Guru gives us the opportunity to chant the name, and the name will make us free. But as soon, and then goes on, Prabhupada says, as soon as he, Lord Chaitanya, became a faithful servant of his spiritual master and followed his instructions, he very easily saw the path of liberation. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra must be understood to be devoid of all offenses. He chanted purely. So this is the way in this age is to chant God's name purely. Gyan is there, and those of us who have some taste for that can enter into Gyan. But it should be noted that all the great teachers, they ultimately come to the idea, the understanding of bhakti. Because in this age of Kali, bhakti alone can deliver us. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, in this age of Kali, there is no religious principle other than the chanting of the holy name, which is the essence of all Vedic hymns. This is the purport of all scriptures, like my wife was reading. Vedanta Krit, Vedavit, Veda. I am to be known by all the Vedas. So Krishna, God is known by all the Vedas. So this is the principle that we have to hear the name of God from a guru so that we can actually engage in the process that works in Kali Yuga, which is the process of bhakti. And Prabhupada speaks about this further on in his commentary. The holy name is completely different from material sound, as confirmed by Narottam Das Thakur, Golakara Premadana Harinama Sankirtana. The transcendental vibration of Harinam Sankirtan is imported from the spiritual world. Thus, although materialists who are addicted to experimental knowledge and so-called scientific method cannot place their faith in the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, it is a fact that simply by chanting the Hare Krishna, the Hare Krishna mantra offenselessly, one can be freed from all subtle and gross material conditions. The spiritual world is called Vaikuntha, which means without anxiety. As everybody's anxiety in this world, there's so many things to be anxiety about. But if we've taken shelter at the lotus feet of Guru and Gauranga, then we will not be in anxiety. Not that there won't be anxieties, but we won't be ruled by anxiety. Our life will be hopeful, it will be bright, it will be progressive, because it is through spiritual life that life is really lived. Otherwise, life is a short adventure until another life, from one body to another to another. And we're not that body. We're the soul who's traveling eternally, looking for happiness, but we're looking in the wrong place, because we're here in a place where everything's temporary. Dukkalayam Shashvatam, Krishna certifies, it's a temporary place and it's full of miseries. So we have to actually find a way, and that is through the chanting of the holy name, to associate with the Lord eternally, just as great personalities do. The great personalities, the gurus, those persons who understand the principle of spiritual life, they know that this eternal association with Krishna, with the Lord, that is the ultimate goal. That is the highest purpose of human life. After describing the potency of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, my spiritual master taught me another verse, advising me to always keep it within my throat. And this one will chant. Harinama, 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 Eva Kevalam, Kalona, Steva, Nasteva, Stavia, Gacharanyata. For spiritual progress in this age of Kali, there is no alternative. There is no alternative. There is no alternative to the holy name, the holy name, the holy name of the Lord. And so, I will actually end here by quoting a song sung by one of our acharyas. His name is Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Bhaktivinoda Thakur spent his time divided between Navadvip and Puri. For many years he was a magistrate in the British government in Puri, and his son, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who is my guru's guru, was born or appeared in Puri. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he took the Vaishnava sect and revived it after a long period of time when the Vaishnavism had fallen into some disrepute. But one of his songs, very important song, and I will just read the translation, is called Jeev Jago, Jeev Jago. Lord Gauranga is calling, wake up, sleeping souls. Wake up, sleeping souls. How long will you sleep in the lap of the witch called Maya? You have forgotten the way of bhakti and are lost in the world of birth and death. I've descended just to save you. Other than myself, what friend do you have in this world? I have the medicine that will wipe out the disease of illusion from which you are suffering. Take this Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, I fall at the Lord's feet having taken this Maha Mantra. So we are so happy that we can come here today, speak with you, share with you a little of what we are engaging in our daily lives. And all of us, we don't have to call ourselves this or that, because as it was mentioned before, there's so many saintly persons and so many traditions, and in every tradition in Kali Yuga, the holy name of God is recommended. I mean, Jesus Christ said, "Hallowed be thy name." And one time I was listening to a radio recording of an interview of someone, I didn't know who they were, and he said, we should chant until our tongues fall out of our mouth. And then he said, every Muslim should chant the names of God. So this is a universal principle taught by all great gurus, that we will perfect ourselves, perfect our human life, if we take up the chanting of God's name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladev, Jai Subhadra, Jai Gurudev. Hare Bol, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Next, Vrindavan is going to sing a song, Madhuru Madhuru Vangshi Baje. So the meaning of the song is the sweet, the flute is really singing in a sweet way.
This is it. The fruit is in the sweet taste of the name.
Jai Guru. मधुर मधुर बंसी बाजे ऐसे वृंदावन 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 ऐतसे ऐतसे बरज विधु ऐतसे बरज विधु ऐसे घन श्याम ऐतसे बरज विधु ऐसे घन श्याम मधुर मधुर बंसी बाजे ऐसे वृंदावन 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 ऐतसे जमुना कूल ऐसे कुंजवन ऐतसे जमुना कूल ऐसे कुंजवन ऐतसे शिखी चूड़िया राधिकार प्राणधन ऐतसे शिखी चूड़िया राधिकार प्राणधन ऐतसे जमुना कूल ऐसे कुंजवन ऐतसे जमुना कूल ऐसे कुंजवन ऐतसे शिखी चूड़िया राधिकार प्राणधन ऐतसे शिखी चूड़िया राधिकार प्राणधन ऐतसे ऐतसे रस रसिक ऐतसे रस रसिक ऐसे घन श्याम ऐतसे रस रसिक ऐसे घन श्याम मधुर मधुर बंसी बाजे ऐसे वृंदावन 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 ऐ सुभुचि बंसी स्वन राधा राधा नाम ऐ सुभुचि बंसी स्वन राधा राधा नाम ଯମୁନା କୂଳ ଉଛୁଳି ଉଠେ ଶୁଣି ସେଇ ମଧୁତାନ ଯମୁନା କୂଳ ଉଛୁଳି ଉଠେ
ଶୁଣି ସେଇ ମଧୁତାନ
ଏଇ ଶୁଭୁଛି ବଂଶୀ ସ୍ୱନ ରାଧା ରାଧା ନାମ ଏଇ ଶୁଭୁଛି ବଂଶୀ ସ୍ୱନ ରାଧା ରାଧା ନାମ ଯମୁନା କୂଳ ଉଛୁଳି ଉଠେ ଶୁଣି ସେଇ ମଧୁତାନ ଯମୁନା
କୂଳ ଉଛୁଳି ଉଠେ ଶୁଣି ସେଇ ମଧୁତାନ
କଳା କାହ୍ନୁର କାହ୍ନୁର ନୂପୁର ଧ୍ୱନି କଳା କାହ୍ନୁର ନୂପୁର ଧ୍ୱନି ଶୁଭୁଅଛି ଅବିରାମ କଳା କାହ୍ନୁର ନୂପୁର ଧ୍ୱନି ଶୁଭୁଅଛି ଅବିରାମ ମଧୁର ମଧୁର ବଂଶୀ ବାଜେ ଏଇ ସେଇ ବୃନ୍ଦାବନ ମଧୁର ମଧୁର ବଂଶୀ ବାଜେ ଏଇ ସେଇ ବୃନ୍ଦାବନ मधुर मधुर बंसी बाजे ऐसे वृंदावन मधुर मधुर बंसी बाजे ऐसे वृंदावन केली कदम्ब मूलरे देख से मन मोहन केली कदम्ब मूलरे देख से मन मोहन अधरे शोभे मोहन बंशी करई उच्चाटन अधरे शोभे मोहन बंशी करई उच्चाटन केली कदम्ब मूलरे देख से मन मोहन केली कदम्ब मूलरे देख से मन मोहन अधरे शोभे मोहन बंशी करई उच्चाटन अधरे शोभे मोहन बंशी करई उच्चाटन त्रिभंग ठाणी रे उभाजी त्रिभंग ठाणी रे उभाजी भक्त प्राणधन त्रिभंग ठाणी रे उभाजी भक्त प्राणधन गोपी माने गोपी माने करुछंती गोपी माने करुछंती तांको नाम गुणगान गोपी माने करुछंती तांको नाम गुणगान मधुर मधुर बंशी बाजे ऐसे वृंदावन 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 एई तो सेई तो सेई बरज विधु एई तो सेई बरज विधु एई सेई घनश्याम एई तो सेई बरज विधु एई सेई घनश्याम मधुर मधुर बंशी बाजे एई सेई वृंदावन मधुर मधुर बंशी बाजे एई सेई वृंदावन एई तो सेई बरज विधु एई तो सेई बरज विधु एई सेई घनश्याम एई तो सेई बरज विधु एई सेई घनश्याम मधुर मधुर बंशी बाजे एई सेई वृंदावन मधुर मधुर बंशी बाजे एई सेई वृंदावन एई तो सेई बरज विधु एई तो सेई बरज विधु एई सेई घनश्याम एई तो सेई बरज विधु एई सेई घनश्याम मधुर मधुर बंशी बाजे एई सेई वृंदावन मधुर मधुर बंशी बाजे एई सेई वृंदावन जय गुरु 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 जय गुरु
Yeshita is going to offer vote of thanks.
Jai Guru. Jai Guru. My dearest Sri Thakur Maharaj, our Sangha President Braja Bhai, Sadharana Sabha guest, Distaff Dasa Prabhu, and Rudrani Mataji. So, when we decided that we are going to have Sammilani, and I think a month before Sammilani or a few weeks before Sammilani, so then I contacted ISKCON. So then Prabhuji replied me right away. So I was so happy to see his message and his eagerness, his interest in coming to participate in this session and coming to our temple. His lines are still, I remember. He was so kind to reply right away and wanted to come and participate in this session. So we are very much grateful to you for coming here and providing valuable contribution on the chanting the holy name and the importance of the Nama Sankirtan, and you provided, you shared few lines from Padma Purana, Garuda Purana, all those things we read, and so many Purana, right? Vedas, right? Right, yeah. We listen from you. Thank you very much. We are very much grateful to you, and thank you again, Dishta Dasa Prabhu, for coming here and sharing your valuable feedback.
Thank you for inviting us and allowing us to share with your beautiful Sangha.
Right. I'm also grateful to Dhirendra Kaur. I think he has already left, for his comments and sharing his thoughts. And also we had a lot of guests from local Kerry and others. I think they have gone, and they have been only Surjendu is our Guru Bhai anyway. He already knows Thakur Maharaj. So anyway, we are thankful to everybody who made this session successful. Jai Guru. Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. So with this we are going to conclude our session. I'll invite Thakur Maharaj for the next session. Jai Guru, dear Thakur Maharaj and our Guru Bhais and Mahas. So here we are going to conclude our Sadharana Sabha session. Our next session, Arati will start at 6 o'clock with Pratikya beginning at 5:30. I invite Thakur Maharaj for that session and you all for that session. Now Thakur Maharaj will go back to his room and take rest until our Arati time. Jai Guru.
We've left some of these books here that are by our Guru, Srila Prabhupada, and I'm going to leave them here. You can take them. They're very easy. They're all about bhakti. You're welcome.
Padharam para Mahapurusam Prabhaya Hrudi Tamasana Sakaram Muni Manasa Sevita श्रीचरण मुनि मानस सेवित श्रीचरण प्रणमामि गुरुं शिव तरुं प्रणमामि गुरुं शिवकरुं